All right, this is Doc from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I just realized for another 6 minutes, or 7, now 11 minutes, that we were talking and I was not connected. We just found that out just now. And so here we are. All right, so I had some practice. I'll just repeat everything I said, which is really good. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We had problems with the CrowdStrike situation. What happened was Microsoft, the software at CrowdStrike, was putting pressure on the Microsoft. It was crashing the system. It's a security problem. In other words, not like security like stock and bonds, but security like their security protocols. And so what it did, it crashed the whole system, which crashed some of the exchanges and slowed things down for a while, slowed us down. I downloaded another way of getting into the webinar, and now I'm fine. But at one point, we got knocked out of that, and our operating system didn't want to go. So what we had, we had a blue screen, but we're back up and running here. And we had a very, it's a very good thing to look at, because of financial. Because one of the first things that started to happen when this calamity started to go with the two major, I guess you could say, software companies, CrowdStrike and Microsoft. What it was is that they ran to the dollar. So they were selling oil, they were selling, Bitcoin, they were selling stocks, they were selling, commodities, they were selling everything. In other words, they were getting out of all their positions, gold and silver, and they were running to the dollar. And the bigger question is, why do they run to the dollar? Why is the dollar? Not only is it the interest rates that make people run to the dollar, but there are about 4 or 5 other aspects that make people run to the dollar. One of them is that it's the most it's the largest free market in the world. Free market access in and out. It's the most liquid market in the world. That's the second thing. So not only does it have diversity with having many companies competing with each other, just like I went and downloaded something else to be able to get into my webinar, it also at the same time opened the doorway for a safety, a place to go, place to run to, because they knew that it's not the cockroach hotel. Now, on the trading floors, we used to talk about this, and we talked about this a couple of days ago here, about we are really in a cyber pit. This is a cybernetic trading pit. When we trade and work and do execution on the internet, and we're talking to other people, and we're communicating and reading news. It's not like the old days where you were standing on a trading floor and you had these big, giant tapes and translux screens that showed us news and information and prices. Now it's all on the internet. The www invented at CERN, and so not what's that environmental guy? He was the vice president. I can't think, but anyway. It was invented at CERN. And so we're all in a cyber pit nowadays. And when you have a problem like this where security, software security broke down for a little while, or still is broken down, then what happens is that it opens up for people to be nervous, and they start running to the safest place, and that is the number one economy in the world. Also, that's the third reason, but it's the most and open and freest markets in the world. It is the most liquid market in the world. And not counting the fact that we actually pay interest, we are the dominant military in the world. So it's like a safe haven. So they're not running to the dollar because good, Ray, it's profitable. That's not the reason why they're running to the dollar. They run to the dollar because it's not the cockroach hotel, where you can get in and you can get out. Whereas there are some of the countries. Now, they always say, why don't we go to China? China's second largest economy in the world, which I kind of disagree. I think the second largest economy in the world is the Commonwealth. And basically, in all essence, when it comes to geography to try to compete with China, obviously the European Union is the second largest economy in the world with a much larger GDP and trade and so forth. But, the third or fourth or fifth, China is probably in number 4 or 5, and and so you have the number one currency in the world, then you have the euro, which is the number 2 currency. Why it didn't go into a sell You can see that right there. They're flirting with it a little bit today, but they just sold it down, but they weren't able to knock it into the sell. Now today they got a little red dot there, and they're trying to push it into the sell a little bit. As you can see right here, the euro is trying, but that's why the dollar took off, because it's the number one place to be, which is kind of odd, because we don't like that. Sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't. Us old Wall Streeters didn't like the responsibility, and we didn't like the idea that it basically polluted our fundamental statistics. In other words, money supply and money flow and printing of dollars, from the Federal Reserve. We didn't like that distortion, and we didn't know how to really subtract it out. But we tried to have fudge factors to figure it out. And now, as we talk about once in a while about Giannis's webinars that he had on 2 videos that he had on how to trade the modern markets with fundamentals in an era of quantitative easing in the modern ways. It was a real distortion, and that's what we were trying to escape. 40 and 50 and 60 years ago, when we got pushed into the position of being the number one currency in the world, or the reserve currency in the world. And so, last night they started running to us, not because we're growing better, or it's like there's a hot deal to be had or something like that. They just did that for safety. Unfortunately, China, people talk about the BRICS, so they automatically thought, well, geez, China could be the lead in BRICS. But China is a very small currency, and so it's not really, it's only a couple percentage points a day traded compared to the rest of the United States or the euro, or even the yen, or the Canadian, or the British pound, or even it doesn't even trade as much as the kroner or the Swiss franc. They trade more than the Chinese yuan every day in the open market. So traders believe that they want liquidity, and they always do, and we always used to say we don't want to be in the cockroach hotel where you can get in but you can't get out. And that's why they ran to the dollar last night. All right, so from there, we have a little bit firmer dollar, as you can see right there. They ran for it last night. They're trying to push it into the buy today. We'll see. I imagine they'll calm down. It's a flight to safety. That's all that really is, and that's what it usually is. The old days of the fundamentals of GDP, inflation, earnings, employment. They were the fundamentals that moved pairs trades. Interest rates were a major factor. That's how you figure out who you want to do a pairs trade or a carry trade with. How many years did we see people, and still do to some extent, the Australian currency was always a biggie. It was a great one to play for the carry trade. And then you have Japan, which has over 20 trillion in a carry trade going on. They use it to borrow money. They do a carry trade in reverse. And so they have enormous loans, not going into the financial markets per se, but in the sense of for bonds selling equity, because bonds are equity. But and it's also referred to as a liability, because who sells their bonds is responsible, and that's the first one that gets paid from earnings of a company. And so Japan, about the third, or I guess about the fourth largest economy in the world, kind of battling along with China, I guess you could say. Pretty much, has an enormous carry trade every day going on to borrow money instead of invest money. So that's where we kind of stand today with this CrowdStrike / software Microsoft crash that's going on. And they'll straighten it out. Things are getting back to organization. At one point, I think most of the airlines around the world were closed. The planes were sitting on the ground, that type of thing. So that's the name of the game, safety, liquidity. They're markets. That's what people want to. And I used to say too, there was a great opportunity for the BRICS to actually make a headway. They had to be more responsible. But if that looked like we were going to have Mexico in with the BRICS. And Mexico would have been the number one BRIC. Right now, I don't know if all of you really think too hard about it, but the number one BRIC in the world right now as a currency is the South African rand. It's the number one BRIC, really. I used to mention it every day when we look at it. After Mexico decided not to join the BRICS, they found that the BRICS were not exactly something they wanted to tie themselves to, and so they kind of moved away because they are the largest trading partner with the United States, and then I believe China is number 2, and so they saw that and they thought, I don't know if I want to be tied to Russia or China or South Africa or Brazil. You think about the Brazil situation. Brazil, you barely can get a quote in their currency. It's so illiquid. It's almost dead. And so that's that liquidity thing. So that's why they run to the dollar, not because it's great, but because it's liquid. And what makes it liquid is the largest free market in the world, and most of the time enforcing laws on everybody, not like Mr. Biden's doing now to Mr. Trump, but not the lawfare thing, but actual laws written. That's why they're all getting overturned one by one, because they're not constitutional. In other words, they're not lawful, what he's been doing. But that's besides the point. The big thing here is liquidity. All right, so from there, we will jump over to, that's the dollar index, and we'll go back to the euro and see what the euro looks like. And there it is right there. You can see it's just on the edge, trying to get into the daily sell. You can see it's staying in the weekly. I don't see much issue there. You can see the same thing with the cable right there. Cable, a little bit weaker currency in general. It's just not as big as the euro. And so it dominated. And we saw, what's interesting? What's really interesting, now that I say this out loud, what's fascinating in my mind is, let's go over to the pairs trade of the Euro GBP. This will be the third day in a buy. So somewhere along the line, don't ask how, the math does it. Because I know what, I built the math, I created the math. But look at that. 3 days back, they knew that the euro was going to be stronger than the dollar. Somehow or another, they knew this calamity was coming. And sure enough, as much as that day, the euro lifted like that, and then on that same day, 3 days back, the cable lifted less. Matter of fact, let's see, 1, 2, yeah, it lifted less and started to put pressure on it. And we saw that, and we mentioned it. Now, look at that, the Euro GBP pairs trade is flipping, and we saw that. But how did it know? I'm always amazed after 45 years of watching my math work every day in a friction world and moving it into the science, and I made it for the scientific world to begin with, and watching it in the scientific world and how it knows when and where, not when or where. It always amazes me. It's just a fun thing to watch, a fun thing to use, and I can't tell you. There's not enough time in a webinar ever or a day to tell you the miraculous things I watch it do. But you get a chance here at Dukascopy to watch it every day on the webinars. And it blows my mind every day that it does what it does. And there is a perfect example. Let's go back to that. How did it know? How did it know? It picked up some sensory, some vibration, like string theory. It's like a quantum loop. It recognizes something. It sees something more minute than we can see, and the math picks it up. And then I make it come into our world right here. And there it is. 3 days back, it knew. It knew that the euro was going to be stronger. And it was. It always amazes me. And it has an accuracy rate of 8.6 out of 10. That's almost like 9 out of 10 when you do the rounding thing. That's a very high success rate in financial world. people were happy in the financial world to have 55-45. That's a miraculous one as far as they're concerned, or 51 out of 49. Here we are at 86 out of 100. You break that down, that is 43 out of 50. 43 out of 50. Not 49 out of 51. Yeah. That's a monster number. All right. So there it is right there. You know, the currencies are moving because of, obviously now, as we know, the CrowdStrike calamity, you know, and the world ran to dollars for whatever, you know, for the financial reason or something else. That who knows what else is going to come out of the story in the end. It's always fun to watch the story at the end about it. All right, let's go over to the Swiss. We're lobbying for somebody to hire a Swiss. We'll have to talk to Mr. Trump when he's president and say, you know, you don't need an American this time for the Federal Reserve. Let's hire a Swiss banker. Go to the Swiss National Bank. Let's bring in somebody from there that actually understands economics and, you know, finance, because they won't be telling us that inflation is transitory for a year and for 15 months before they finally said, all right, I surrender. I give up. Inflation is worse. It's not transitory. Well, for them, first of all, they need to learn. Inflation is never transitory. It's ongoing. You could be at 1% or 5% or 10% or be like Turkey, you know, like, you know, 360%. But you know, in the end result is it's not transitory. Interest rates, on the other hand, it can be transitory. They kind of can stall out and, you know, go here, they'll go there, and sit still and stop, and, you know, they can transit from here to there. But inflation is an ongoing event, and it just depends on the policies of your government and so forth, and that's all it comes down to. That Mr. Trump last night said, you know, we'll get rid of inflation in the first couple of days of my presidency. We'll start wiping it out, you know, start beating on it, and it'll start to fall. And he's right, it will. I mean, I can guarantee you, the moment he gets elected, they're going to start. You're going to see, you know, it's going to start to become transitory again. You know, but you know, you can't really say it's transitory because it's an ongoing thing. It's just it will stop growing again. It will stall. It'll go flat, and then it'll start to drop and go back to the Trump inflation rate of about 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. So, all right, and that's the Swiss. And boy, we do like the way they fought inflation. They did a fine job. The currency is still rallying. It's having its issues the last 2 days, no doubt. You know, it wasn't, you know, the sensitivity seemed to affect the Euro GBP. That was interesting. Wonder what the Euro Swiss looks like. But more than likely, wish I had J4X. I loved the J4X. I missed the J4X. If you can get J4X, traders, get the J4X. It's for free from Dukascopy. Well worth having. Well worth having. I miss J4X. We want. As they were chanting for Trump last night. USA. J4X. 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 I miss it. That would be great. We'd be able to throw that on there in a heartbeat. All right. So from the Swiss, we march our way over to the big, the great carry trade, the yen. And there it is, dollar yen. You know, it's been selling down, but with this noise yesterday, they started to pop it back up again. And as you can see, you know, it's what is that? Okay, there we go. And so with that, you can see it tried to get into the weekly sell this week. It's been punished. Look at it. It's been pressing down. And oh no, look at it. The poor thing is trying to climb back into the buy on a weekly basis. It's like, no, stay in a sell. We don't want to see people paying high inflation in Tokyo. Oh well, what can you say? That's the way the markets are. Free markets, free people. So from the yen, you know, we'll take a quick look at. We still haven't resolved that indice thing because we've changed our beta around so that people can use it instead of me. But we'll get there, and we're going to get the beta going again, and we'll be able to take a look at world indices through our mathematics again, which I really missed. That was fun to be able to see the DAX and the Shanghai exchange and everything, the Nikkei and all that. Watch it through the eyes of our mathematics. Okay, so what do we have here today? There's the Nikkei. The Nikkei was down about 60 points. Had a tough week, overall. The Nikkei was down. It took us, like all the rest of the world stock indices. Let's see, what did it do? It started the week off in the, where was that? Let's put Doc. He's almost 70 years old, so I need to put my glasses on. Let's see, where did the week start? The week started, I guess, right there. It started at 41,265, and it closed today at 40,045. So it dropped 1,200, basically 1,220 points for the week. It was a good smash, definitely a good smash. Now what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to the South African Rand. No, we go. Oh, you know what we did? We got to go to the Great Experiment. Let's see the Great Experiment. There's the Great Experiment, as you can see on the screen. And I will show you also at the same time, there's the Nikkei, which dropped 1,200 points for the week, right there. And so what we have here is you have the Great Experiment is trying to break down. It's kind of interesting. It's playing at all-time highs this week. They should hire a Swiss banker too. Former Prime Minister, now President Erdogan. I think you should hire a Swiss banker. Bring them in. Get rid of the brother-in-law or son-in-law or whoever you got in there now. Bring in the Swiss bankers. They know what to do. They fought inflation. I fought the law and the law won. So obviously you're fighting inflation and inflation won. And those Swiss bankers, they fought inflation, and the Swiss bankers won. So go to the Swiss bankers. All right, from the Great Experiment, we move over to the South African Rand. Now the Rand, remember we were saying that. We were a little surprised. We were seeing this upwardly move, which means normally the gold goes down. And that started at the beginning of the week on Monday. I think that's Monday right there, isn't it? Yeah, because that's Friday of last week. So you can see right there, somehow or another, our math was picking that up too at the same time. Because, we were watching gold go up, and I'm saying to myself, what's that all about? What's going on there? And then there you go, look at gold. And you can see 3 days back, they started to try to drop her. But, our sensitivity and our math did not jump out as much. Yesterday, they tried to throw it into the sell. Today, they're doing it a little bit more. But, what it really comes down to at this point is that gold, everything got hit last night from this situation. Everything got walloped. Kapooey. And because of that, that pressure, it did it all. And again, as I say, I think it's just more of a flight to safety. I don't think it's like an investment decision per se. It's more of a place to park your equity so that you can access it and get it back when you want. And I guess one of the fears always is that if you put it into certain places in the world, it's not so easy to bring it home. And I guess that's what it comes down to. Bring it home. No cockroach hotel for us, as we would say on the trading floor. All right, where you can get in, but you can't get out. Now, from there, as the South African Rand, let's go back to that again. You can see it's lifting up again, and it tried to zigzag its way into there. We don't know because of the crazy. That's a harsh word, crazy. The political situation is fleeting at times in South Africa. It's dynamic, and so they've they've got a new government that hasn't been seen since before basically Nelson Mandela. The ANC now is a partner in with not the lead. They can't do anything without the Zulu Nation, and they can't do anything without the DA, I guess it is, Democratic Association. So in other words, before it was the Afrikaners and the Zulus who ran the country, and the ANC didn't really have much say. Now, ever since Nelson Mandela, the ANC's been running the country, and you can see how South Africa is. It's having its issues at times. The most competitive person, the fourth largest party, the third largest party, is former President Zuma, who lives in exile because he's wanted for murder. So, it's not, you got to laugh at that a little bit, because he goes like, what, huh? The third largest party in South Africa is Zuma's party, and he can't come and be part of the party because he can only control the party from outside the country. That's what I say. It's fleeting and having issues. But used to be, the South African Rand was a real great indicator of where metals are going. But unfortunately, in these times, it can be hit or miss. So we still watch it, though. All right, let's take a look at silver. Silver felt the pain right there. Silver had been in the sell from up in here. Where is that? Move that over, I guess. Right there. Silver had been in the sell back 5 days ago, and now it's flirting with the weekly sell. I guess when gold sneezes, silver catches the cold. That's what happens there. And then from there, let's march our way over to Copperero. There's the copper. It's been in a sell for a bunch of days. Sometimes the spreadsheet gets the wrong number in it. We have to straighten that out. That's 8. This is the 10th day now in a weekly sell, daily sell. I'm sorry, and it's playing with the weekly sell. And we always think when we look at copper, do we have the yuan? God, I really miss J4X, where we could just tune right into the yuan right now and see what it's doing. I guess we could try to find it on something here. I miss J4X. Did I mention that? Let's see. Markets. Let's see what 4X is. No reason to really worry about looking at the Chinese yuan. It's fixed to the dollar. So if the dollar is strong this morning, obviously the yuan is strong this morning. It's just like the Hong Kong dollar, fixed to the dollar, fixed to the American dollar. So the Hong Kong dollar and the American dollar and the Chinese yuan are all fixed together. So from there we'll go over to platinum, the most dangerous short in the world as far as I'm concerned. That has also been in the sell now for 5 days, and it's flirting with a teeny weeny little move towards that weekly sell again. It's like it's trying, just on the edge there, and not much stopping it. Let's put it that way. All right, let's go take a look at the energies. At one point, I saw oil going after the $80 range, but it jumped back up to 81 and change. So let's take a look at it. And there's oil. And this is the front month now, September, trading at 80.73. And on, I guess it was Wednesday, they drove it down to 79.43 at one point, and then lifted it up, and then now it's trying to roll over again. Last night it was down to about 80.31, I think it was, something like that. 80.61, something like that. And so you can see here it's just marching along. Then let's take a look at one of the most important. There it is right there, and that's the heating oil. And heating oil, this is the it's produced out of crude oil. It's a byproduct, and it's, it feeds the trucks, the diesel engines, it feeds the jet engines for the airlines, and it feeds the heating systems in a lot of places in the United States. So it's a real easy fuel, and you don't need a spark plug for it, which is kind of neat. And it just ignites from friction. That's pretty cool. So that's you get your engine going, and boom, next thing you know is it's no spark. It ignites on its own. And so that's the heating oil, and you can see it's went into a weekly. It's trying to go into the weekly sell this week. So that's the pressure on it. That's probably, I would assume that's more of Mr. Trump going up in the polls, that type of thing. Let's look at nat gas. Same thing. Nat gas has been rolling over as long as Trump keeps on going up in the polls. I mean, it's dropped from $3 to $2. So I mean, nat gas, has its classic issues, and it doesn't back away. It really does not back away. It stays in that battle constantly. We're the largest producer of natural gas in the world, and we always figure that sooner or later we're going to be exporting it again like we used to. I don't know why, but Mr. Biden got into some crazy idea about not exporting it. I don't understand that, but Robin, I see you just sent something over. Thank you very much. I'm getting a message from the New York Stock Exchange right now. Let's see. NYSE market operations are operating. We expect a normal open this morning. Okay, good. So market status on NYSE for the 9:30 open. For you, Robin, it's the 8:30 open. So that's cool. Let's see. So from natural gas. You know what? Let's take a look at Brent. Let's see if I can find the Brent here. Where are you, Brent? BR. There it is. Brent. Brent, kind of, you can see it right here. Trying to roll over a little bit. Did that same lift that West Texas Intermediate did here in the States. And so there's the Brent trading around the 84.81 area. All right. So that is the magic. That is the magic of this this action we're seeing, in the energy sector. So from there, I guess what we'll do is, I don't see any questions by anybody. So what I'm thinking is that what we'll do is we'll jump into, let's go take a look at the way the different stock indices around the world, basically performed. Unless someone wants to ask a question, I'll get into that because I enjoy that. I like seeing what the other, free markets, open markets, volume, the whole bit. I like that. Me likey that. That is my nature, to like free markets as a trader. Robin was a trader. I'm a trader. We're both traders. We kind of like lean into that. It's kind of like it's in many ways, markets, free markets are a healthy thing. It's a good thing, not a bad thing. But a lot of countries, they socialism kind of leans into, what would you call it? Leans into the I guess limiting growth. I guess that's what it is. Growth is what gets you out of trouble, not stopping it puts you. That's the whole thing there. All right, let's go take a look at the Taiwan market. Where's that at? Right there. There's the Taiwan market. Maybe what I'll do is I think I might move this over to here. Let's move this onto our main screen. And there's the Taiwan market. And it started the week off, where did we start off on the Taiwan market? right there. Taiwan market was in the 23.8 area. And right now we're trading at the 22.8 area today. You know, that's a lot of pressure, you know. It's a lot of pressure. That lost 1,000 points also. And then from there, we slide over to there's the Hang Seng. So let's see what the Hang Seng did. There's the Hang Seng. And the Hang Seng, it started the week up in here in the 18,000 area, and it's closing the week out about 600 points lower at the 17,400 area. Smackety doodle, huh? And then from there, I think I'm going to sign into this thing so we can reach for these things. Let's go over to Singapore Straits Times since it's right there. Now, Singapore Straits Times, they started the week basically in the where's that at? In the 3,494 area, and it's only down about what's that? 47 points. It's not too bad. Yeah, we need to do that so we can see the percentages and the whole bit, you know, for the week. Yeah, we're going to sign in on this until I get the other beta working again. And so that's where we'll get that other beta going too, where we can look at some of these, you know, situations. From there, what else can we see? We saw the Hang Seng. There's the Taiwan we saw, and the Nikkei. There's the FTSE. There's the Taiwan. Let's see. There you go. We even got the Saudis. Let's go over to the Saudis now. There is Ramco. Their number one stock. You know, you see that? Not bad. You know, it started off the week down at where's that at? 20. Basically at 28. Was it $28.15? And it got as high this week up to 28.75, and then closed the week out at 28.45. But it was up for the week. Now let's go take a look. Was crude oil up for the week? I want to say almost, huh? There's last Friday it closed at 81.02, and we're at 80.57. So it's off of just a little bit. So Ramco was up for the week, whereas actual crude oil in the world was down for the week. And I imagine we can go back and look at Brent. Was Brent up for the week or down? That's an interesting one. Again, let's check that out. BR. Right there. Brent looks like it was down for the week. Down also. Looks like it closed at 85.03. No, actually it's up. Brent is up. 85.03. No, it is down. 85.03 was last week's close, and this week's close is right now as it's trading is at 84.68. So it is down too. Interesting to see Aramco show that strength. Shows you it's an interesting product. I'm glad we're starting to follow it. From there, we'll jump over to the DAX. There's the DAX. DAX is also dealing just the same way as like the Dow Jones, you know. It closed out last week at 18,748, and we are at 18,235. So it's down about 500 points. The FTSE, right there, it's down, let's see, or is it up? The FTSE started off the same way. Closed out the week at 8,252, and we're at 8,161. So it's down about $90 for the week. And then we can jump over to the American ones. Move that off the screen. Put that down in its little pocket there. Minimize. Advance. Here's the grand lady of them all, the Dow Jones Industrial Average futures contract there. And it is up for the week. It is up for the week. It opened the week at 40,325. and it's let's guess why they're buying dollars, I guess. And it traded at all-time highs, and then it looks like it'll close out around about 500 points up for the week. So 3 versus it's a little under 450 points up for the week. Trying to go into a daily sell as we speak. Now the S&P 500 right there is definitely down for the week. It settled last week at 5,667, and we're at 5,595. So it's down about 68 points, which is big. It's like being down 680 points in the Dow. And then we go over to the Tech 100 right there, and that really felt the pain. It settled at 20,400. Was it at 20,539, and we're trading at let's see, 20,500 versus 19,900, basically 920 as you see trading there. So it's down. You're talking about the 700 points, is it? I guess that's what it is. 700 points, 600 points, 600 points, which is like 1,200 points on the Dow. So these two indices are down for the week, whereas the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up. Let's take a look at the Russell 2000. Russell, where are you, Russell? There's the Russell. And the Russell is actually up for the week. That's where it settled on Friday of last week at 2167, and we're at 2215. We took out this year's highs at 2300. So, they've put some real good charges into a lot of these products. What should we call this webinar? That's the bigger question. Trying to figure out what to call this webinar today. I mean, liquidity is such an important factor. It really is. Liquidity is really something that you have to take very serious, and when you don't, it doesn't work out very well for you. Let's put it that way. So I could see us making a title this today for this as about the liquidity and why the dollar is the reserve currency. And that would be a good title. I could see that very easily. So I think that's what we're going to do. Anybody have any other things they would like to talk about? Bum, 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 bum. No. Yes. Let me put that in as a title, though. Liquidity. Oop. Oop. Always is amazing there. There we are. There we go again. All right. Liquidity. So D. No. And the reserve dollar. How about that? There we are. That's a good title, I think. Liquidity and the reserve dollar. Anybody else have an opinion about anything? If not, I guess we'll get out of here. So this is Doc from North America saying, everybody have a safe and smart weekend. We'll catch you on Monday, same time, unless some technological thing does crazy things to all of us in the world. So, happy trails to you until we meet again. There's Zim. That's the export shipping company there, or shipping company, import export shipping company. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Later, traders. Have a safe and smart weekend.